Everybody, we are live today to talk to you about Edmonton's real estate market. And today I wanted to feature what's happening in terms of the price ranges. Where are all the sales happening in Edmonton? If you are watching from out of town, you may not be familiar with the average prices in Edmonton, and also what is the average price, right? Average price is all of the houses that have sold and just the average, really, of the property. So I wanted to dive into that a little bit deeper after I go over what's happened in this last week so that you guys can understand where the bulk of the sales are and basically where the busiest part of the market is. Now, just because the higher end is not as busy, higher or not an I'm getting fumbling over my words. They're not as plentiful in sales does not mean that we don't see multiples, because we do. We see multiples in all of the ranges. It depends on if the house was priced properly. If the house was priced properly, you'll still see multiples. If you see homes that are overpriced, especially over $600,000, you are not going to see multiples. So you have to be really careful on pricing a home. And if you are a seller looking at pricing your house, you might be wondering, what should I be pricing my house at? And this should help you. Now, this is going to be Edmonton's area specific, not specific neighborhoods, but you will want to see specific neighborhoods. So without further ado, I'm going to talk to you first about how many active listings we have on the market. So currently there are 2,029 listings, and we have been going up week over week in terms of the active single family home listings. This just means that the number of sales is not higher than the new listings coming on the market, which is, of course, it's May. There's a lot of houses that come on the market. Now, if you're a buyer, you're going to say to me, Melody, there's not a lot of houses coming on the market. You and I both know that, and we do know that. However, overall, there are more listings coming on than the sales are happening. So it may not mean that the buyers are gone. They're just sitting there going, there's nothing to buy, so I'm not writing an offer. So that's basically why you may see that number continue to go up. Now, if you take a look at the surrounding areas in Edmonton, those numbers don't fluctuate a whole lot week over week, and you've seen that if you've been following me. You can see in St. Albert went down by 3, Sherwood Park went down by 2, Spruce Grove went down by, what is that, quick math, 13, I think, and Beaumont went up. So if you look at single families in the other areas, they're moving faster than the sales are coming. So sales are coming in terms of more demand in those areas because there's less inventory coming on. Now, Donjan asked, does single family stat include detached homes? Yes, single family homes include no condominiumized properties. So single family homes are front attached garage, detached garage, half duplexes, townhouses with no condo fees. That is what we call single family home, because there's either single family home or condominiumized home. Condominiumized home also includes apartment style, townhouse style, duplex style, if they have condo fees. What I am covering in these videos every single week are single family properties, not condominium properties. So let's take a look at how many listings went pending in the last week. So this last week we had 263, higher than last week. And you're saying, Melody, you said that there's not as much demand. Well, there isn't as much of demand in terms of new listings, right? So new single family listings get posted. And then there's also the demand. They're like this. Here, buyer demand is right here, single family market. So it's like this tiny little crevice because it doesn't go up by much. Let's just do it like that. That's how much the demand, this is the listings, this is the demand. If the demand was so high and it was here or here, that's when you would start to see inventory levels drop or stay the same. So this already is a seller's market just because there's not a whole lot of inventory to look at. Now, if you take a look at sold in the last 7 days, these are conditions removed. We are still seeing conditions on properties. You don't need to have an unconditional offer in order to win a multiple offer. I have seen that personally as a buyer's agent and also as a selling agent. I've seen both sides. So solds are still happening and there's still people walking away from deals. Maybe they got cold feet, or maybe there's financing is still a thing, and inspections is sometimes still a thing for people. But if you take a look at Edmonton, went up by 2, St. Albert went up by 10, Sherwood Park went down by 7, and Spruce Grove went up by 11, and Beaumont went down. So That is an interesting stat. If you take a look at last year, at the same time this year and last year, they are probably the same. Well, interesting. So we're a little lower than we were last year at the exact same week. And when I show you the stats here in a bit about where the bulk of the sales is happening, this doesn't surprise me because I'm seeing it's not as busy as last year, but it's not even busy as 2 years ago, 3 years ago. 3 years ago, when it was absolutely booming, you could potentially, as a seller, be a little ambitious and price too high and still sell for more than that. But we aren't seeing that this year. This year, yes, it's still selling if you price properly, but you cannot price too high, especially anything over 6. If anything over 5 is kind of sketch, but there's very little for sale active in the 5 to 600 range right now. So if there's something priced decently, people will snatch it up. And prices have changed from 3 years ago compared to now. They've even changed from November until now. So if you were looking in November and you're wondering, hey, I want to buy that house that I was looking at in November at this price today, it's not going to happen because the prices have increased in Edmonton. You know that. You know in Calgary it's higher as well too. So we have a question about the Uplands area. I'm first going to cover what I was initially going to cover, and then I will let you know. I just want to go over days on market, there's no days on market. Okay. I'm going to show you our screen where we are going to look at the properties here in Edmonton that sold. So let's take a look at single family and sold in the last 30 days. And in Edmonton. Oops. So let's just take this off. 1,295 properties have sold in Edmonton in the last 30 days. I don't know if it's going to let me open this. Donjan, I did actually go over sold stats already. You just have to watch it again. Okay, so if you take a look at the sold, there's 1,295 properties. I'm not going to go through all of them. The average days on market for these homes was about 31 days. That's pretty fast. And that doesn't mean all houses sell that fast. Now, low means 0 days, which means it was sold right away. The average price sold in Edmonton in the last 30 days was $514,000, with the low at $115,000 and the high being $2.25 million. Now, the median stats is $475,000, but if you take a look at $514,000, now I'm not going to go in here, but if you go and see, yes, there's still stuff selling for under $500,000, but if you actually look at the properties, you probably don't want them. It depends. If you're okay with an old house or a house that needs work, then you might want it. But if you want a new house, it's not going to happen. If you take a look at, let's see, these are North End neighborhoods. Hamptons, you can get a duplex with a single car garage for $348,000. I just want to show you here. Lots in the 300s, right? So bulk of sales happens 300 to 400. You see how many sales there are here? There's a lot. I'm going to show you this in the range here. So from 300 to 400, 263 of the 1,200 listings. If you look at 400 to 500, that's 412 listings. So this is the very busiest time. So if you were looking in a budget of 400 to 500,000, you for sure very highly will be in a multiple offer, and it is very, very busy. 500 to 600, 295. So you see the bulk, 400 to 500 in Edmonton for single family. When you look at 600 to 700, 146. So it's dropped substantially. Like I said, 600 and higher is going to be quieter. And now this is Edmonton in general. When you look at the different areas in terms of the suburbs, like the new areas versus the resale, you have to compare apples to apples. Okay, I'm just doing all of Edmonton in general. 700 to 800, 58. So you can see it's like a bell curve, right? It's coming back down. And for fun, let's see how many houses sold for over $1 million. So over $1 million, 29 properties sold in Edmonton it is possible. I don't know if anything over two houses over 2 million did sell in Edmonton. So it's important for you to understand that there is sales still happening in the higher range luxury properties, but definitely it's a different market. People aren't moving as quickly on homes. Now, don't forget, this is in the last 30 days. So in my opinion, two houses selling over 2 million is quite interesting. Would you be able to share a month of inventory for single family property? I did do that. Now, I can't actually do that on these numbers, but if you watch my video that I'll be filming this week, when you look at my monthly market stats, it tells you what the single family income property or the active listings that came onto the market were. Now let's take a look at Uplands, because someone asked about the Uplands area. And Uplands, for those of you that do not know where Uplands is, it's close to Edgemont. And if you're familiar with the corn maze, it's actually really close to the corn maze. The corn maze, as Edmonton people talk about it, is very interesting because it used to be considered like the far, far side of the city. Nobody would come here. So you can see you've got Uplands is right here, River's Edge, and then Stillwater, and Edgemont. So Hamptons is here. So you're technically still west because you're north of the river. This is considered now southwest, even though this is very, very far west. Like, I don't call this west area, but anyways, that's where Uplands area is. Edgemont is pretty much almost done. There's still some new in here, but they're moving. Like, this is Uplands, and River's Edge is newer. River's Edge just came, I think it was last year. And Uplands has been there for a few years now, still developing. It's quite large. It is supposed to be like the new up and coming Windermere. Whether that happens or not is up to everyone to decide. There are, by the way, a lot of power lines in this area. That bothers you, you might want to consider that. You're going to see power lines, a ton of them over here in Southwest Edmonton, but that's just something to know. Okay, so let's take a look at the Uplands area. And we're going to take a look at, there's 20 sold in the last 30 days. So let's just look at the solds first, because that's more telling than most stats. Sold is the thing that you want to know about the most. So the average price in the last 30 days, $527,588, which it does make sense. If you're looking to buy a front attached garage home, very likely you'll be, the front attached garage home is higher. The garages with the laned access is in that range. So see here, a lot of these are zero lot lines as well too. So you can see last 30 days, this is a new build, sold for $527,500. This one was listed at $514,000, sold for $533,000. It was smaller too. So sometimes there's no rhyme or reason. But the reds mean they sold lower than list. This higher sold higher than list. The green. There was $1 million house sold in the Uplands, $2,600. But you see the most of the sales are in the 5 to 6 range, right? So if you're thinking about a 6, you have to understand, yes, that may be the price the builder is suggesting and you can't get lower because there's demand. Just keep in mind that it takes a while for the new home prices to catch up with resale. Resale's usually lower than the new build, and the builders just think they have the ability to charge more money. So if you want to take a look at, let's look at an average one, $550,000. This is a new build. So yes, you do get a driveway and a sidewalk. It's just not done. That's why it's like that. So go in here, open to above, which is very popular with a lot of people. And that's the finishings of pantry, dining room. This sold for $550,000. And amenities wise, you do have to drive to Windermere or to Hamptons to get any amenities. There is no immediate groceries. There's a playground in Uplands. So if you're patient enough to wait, this is $553,000. These houses are 1,700 square feet. They're not 2,000. Over 2,000 square feet, you are looking at a higher price point. Right? So vinyl plank floors. See, this one sold at $574,900, but you see this? $2,100. Is this a new house? Yeah, it's a new house. See, when a house is so new, it doesn't show you the lot sizes, but it's like right over here. So that's the Uplands area. What I wanted to show you guys today too was just the fact that it is the bulk of sales are happening when it comes to Edmonton, 400 to 500,000 price range. Be prepared to compete, but also the type of home you're going to be getting 400 to 500,000 is going to be in the new area, townhouse with no condo fees, laned house with no garage. With a garage, higher 4s, low 5s. And then if you're looking at the resale market for older homes for front detached, you can find like high 4s, low 5s, but it depends on the amount of work you're willing to take on. So I'm just talking in very huge generalities. Obviously, depending on the area that you are looking to buy, it's important to talk to your realtor about, hey, what is the normal in this area? What are the solds? And you need to look at ones that are comparable to your home. If your house is not, if your house is fronting a major road and you're comparing it to a house that backs onto a ravine, clearly those are two different things. An appraiser would never appraise it for the same amount. And you need to consider what are all the factors when it comes to pricing a house. As buyers, you need to consider, hey, we can't just lowball a house. It's not going to work. There are some houses sitting on the market for a long time. So there is some science behind it and some art when it comes to that. So I hope that you appreciated today. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys. We won't be here next week because I am at a conference for real estate in a week. So I'll see you guys here in 2 weeks.